Hello and welcome back to another Demis Hellen tutorial. We're going to continue the theme of preset design. We're going to use Sylenth1 today to create a dynamic preset. It's going to have a little bit of movement when the filter is closed. When it's open, it's going to be nice sustained chords. So it's classed as a lead sound, but you could potentially develop it into a pad or a sequence. There's plenty of things that you can do, but we're going to keep it relatively simple, but explain some more features to help create a better sound. So this is the sound that we have. We've got a set of chords already set up, and this is the initialized patch. So we're going to build on this, and we're going to start with two oscillators, and we're just going to use A only, so A1 and A2, and then we'll use just all the features that we can see here without flicking between parts A and B. Now, we're going to turn off retrig, and I'm going to put 6 voices on here and detune it to about 1130, somewhere like that, and just reduce that width a little bit. So we've got a nice semi-thick saw there, and we're just going to hit copy to A2 so it copies exactly the same. I'm going to drop it an octave, drop the volume to about 11 o'clock, and the width a little bit lower. And we'll reduce those voices as well. So we've got a nice diverse sound. It's got a little bit of low detail in there, and it's very bright on the top. So let's add a low pass onto filter A, and we'll turn this down until we can't hardly hear it. We can just about hear the detail, which is about there. Push the drive up. We're going to leave it on 24 dB. Perfect. Okay, so I've switched warm on there. It's just something I always do after I've done the filter, because we will come back and edit using the filter control here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is add envelope A and create some pluckiness by introducing some of the higher frequencies by opening the filter and then closing it pretty quickly. So first things we're going to do up here, amp envelope. So when the full sound is sustained, we're going to have a fast, slow decay, shall we say, and then we're going to have a slow, sustained drop, and then a bit of release after, just to make sure the sound doesn't sound too sharp when it finishes. So when the cutoff is open, that's what the envelope will look like, and when it's closed, we're going to have it look like something like that. So we're going to assign cutoff A and let some through. So feel free to follow through on this video by pausing the video and following the settings. This isn't a free download this time around, but if you want to follow, let me know in the comments if you want to do more videos where we follow and kind of play and pause the video to build the preset alongside. Cut off A there already on envelope 1. We've got a little bit of pluckiness coming through. And I want to control a little bit more of that transient. So this is a personal choice. If you don't want this here, don't do this part. We're going to add cutoff A again, and we're going to add pitch A. So now we're controlling the pitch for oscillators A. And what we're going to do here is drop that and put the decay up a smidge. So we're going to put it to about 400-ish, somewhere like that, as you can see in the display up here. And we're going to introduce these two, so listen to the difference when these are added. So you can hear a little snap. I'm just going to control that, and then a bit of a pitch shift. And what this is doing with the pitch and cutoff, because the decay is so snappy fast, it is going straight from the setting that we've put here. So from the value that the cutoff is here, it is pitching it up, so say to about halfway, looking at that setting, and it'll open the cutoff really quickly and then shut it again really quickly as well. So it's working alongside this, but it's creating a little bit more of snap, and that's the same with the pitch. It's using the fine tune, and it's shifting the pitch of the fine tune really fast and really fast back, so you get that snap rather than a pitch bend. If we was to increase the decay, which I'll do now, you'll be able to hear the slow pitch decay as I increase the length. So you can hear that is what's happening, but it's really, really fast. I'm going to put that back down to about 400. Okay, that's balanced to around taste. We can edit this later. And what I do next is go to the mod wheel and I assign the filter to this. So we can control this, and we're not moving the position that we've set all these up with. We can actually do it this way. So if we open the mod wheel up, we can then drag the source input to the point that we want, which is about there. Perfect. So now we have our open filter and close filter. So 0 on the mod wheel equals envelope 1 and 2, and fully 100% open on the mod wheel will start to use the amp envelope settings up here on the master envelope. Okay, so let's add a little bit of velocity control in there. Now this gives you a little bit more control over the velocity sensitivity. So if you're playing on a keyboard, if you want to lower the velocity notes on the piano roll, then you can have a little bit more control over the sound and make it sound a little bit more delicate, a little bit more interesting, especially when it comes to delays and reverbs. So we're going to increase the cutoff here. And then we're going to use velocity to control this back down to the level we want. Perfect. So that's given us a little bit more dynamic on there. So now the filter is closed and we've got the pluck, we've got the snap that we wanted on the transient. We now can assign an LFO to this. Now this is one of the tricks that I like to do in my preset design, saw. So we've got the ramp down. And we're going to set this to 16ths. We'll set it to 8ths actually. 16ths might be a bit too fast. So 8ths. I'm going to turn the gain to about 12 o'clock to start with, so you can hear the effect immediately, and then cut off A. And this is going to open the filter really quickly and then shut it again in a sequence, which is 8th notes. So here we go. Perfect. So we don't want that too obvious. So we're going to turn down the gain to about 9 o'clock. Okay, so this cutoff A just needs to be reduced a little bit. So we just want a little bit of introduction to that, but let this take over. Okay, so now when we open the filter, you can still hear that cutoff A affecting, and that's because the filter is not fully open because we haven't set it here on the source. So just to remove that, we'll just increase it. There we are. So now that has disappeared. And then we'll close. Brilliant. So we now have our dynamic sound set up. We can now start flavouring this with some effects here. So let's grab delay first. I'm going to turn off ping pong. And I'm going to set the high to about 50 Hz just to get rid of any of that low detail in the delay that we don't want. And I'm going to increase the feedback and the width to give it a little bit more spread. And I'm going to set one of the channels to 8 dotted. Just remove some of those highs. Okay, so that's all down to personal taste. If you want to follow those settings, you can see them on screen now if you pause. And we're going to move on to reverb. So I'm just going to drop the pre-delay, increase the size. That all sounds about fine. So when the filter is open, so you can hear that soften the sound down. And that is down to the fact that we've increased the dry wet just a little bit over 50%. So now we're starting to soften the sound even more. Which is exactly really what I want to control those harsh top frequencies, make them more bearable. Now we are going to put on a little bit of distortion here. Now this is entirely up to you. When the filter closes, decimate and bit crush sound quite nice. It adds some interesting flavour to the sound. Or you can just use like something as simple as overdrive or clip just to really bring out the aggressiveness of the saw. So let's just start with decimate, see what it sounds like. So there you go, that sounds quite nice. It adds a little bit of flavour on the bottom of there and just makes it sound a little bit more interesting. And it's technically disappeared because the saws take over during the increase in the cutoff. So we've got all of that there. We could put a phaser on there, some chorus, entirely up to you. We're going to miss those out on this time. We're going to put some EQ on. So let's just bring this halfway. I'm just going to increase presence about there, just to remove some of the bass. Just to give that a nice flat complexion in the sound. And now we can start messing around with the final part of the sound. I'm just going to increase the detune. So the delay feedback is a little bit too much there. So again, with the LFO, we could do the same. We have a little bit of a pitch shift going on there. Let's just add some pitch shift. So now that is just adding a little bit of that pitch shifting, which gives you that nice, modern, soft, like progressive trance vibe on the preset. So it doesn't sound too great when you open up the filter. So what we're going to do with this one is keep it on envelope 2, just because the patch hasn't been designed to incorporate that. If you wanted to incorporate that, we could do it on a separate LFO and turn the gain down, which is what we'll do here. So pitch A. And we're just going to copy these settings actually to LFO 2. Drop the gain. That is one option. We can have that nice flow. You can hear it influencing the open filter layer a little bit. So what we can do instead is, if we set this to sine, or even better, let's set it to random and set it to free, and we'll set it so it's moving quite fast on the rate. There's no visual feedback on this, but then what we can do is attach this to pitch A as what we've done here, and it'll sound like this. Sounds pretty awful, but as soon as you start to balance that gain down, you just get a little bit of humanized feel in the preset, and just takes it away from being a straight digital sound. It gives that more complexity in the sound. With lovely sustained notes at the top end of the filter. So there we are, we've created a preset using 2 oscillators, a filter, 2 envelopes, 2 LFOs, and they're all relatively simple settings, simple ways to build a nice saw preset. And you can see the transition that we can create from envelope A down to envelope mod envelope 1 and 2 down here. So using the cutoff and then the cutoff here to increase the pitch, which gives you a snap, which is quite nice. And then in the LFO, we've got that movement using a saw wave on 8th notes, so it's constantly moving down and giving you that gated feel. And then LFO 2 is on random, modulating the pitch all over the place, just to give it a little bit more of a humanized feel. you possibly could compare that to using analog hardware. And then finally on here we've got velocity control and mod wheel control, so we don't have to adjust these settings. And if you want to adjust them, you can just now use the filter control, and you can introduce key tracking as well, which will open up the filter a little bit more, like this. Let's just demonstrate that. So we can just open it up a little bit like that, a bit of warm drive on there, and then we can modify the filter control if we so wish to do so there. And finally, we've used the effects in the middle: distort, EQ, delay, and reverb. EQ, we've removed the bass and just increased some of the presence in the upper mids. Distortion, use decimate to add some nice extra flavour and detail in that bottom end when the filter is closed. Delay, to obviously start blending the chords together, so as the chords are changing you're getting a nice sense of pace, and it just adds to the harmonics. And then finally reverb, to give it some space and soften the sound down so you don't have to do it with EQ and chop the top off or add some compression on there. The reverb does that for you. So if we play that again and remove it, you'll hear the difference. It controls that top end a little bit for you, and if you want to, add some compression. So there we have it. That is another preset that's using Sylenth1 this time. If you do enjoy these videos of play and pause, let me know in the comments down below, and we'll do some more on different synths over the coming weeks. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know in the comments. Hit the like button, and finally hit subscribe if you haven't already. 3 videos per week on various music production and trance tutorials. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.